Today, on this edition of my live stream, we're going to talk about domestic violence against men with a celebrity appearance. The new body cam footage came out. We're going to check that out. Then we're going to meet this lovely lady who's figured out how not to be as lonely as the rest of the women in their 30s and 40s that nobody else wants. Then we're gonna look at the profile of the day and find the red flags in this one, and this one should be fun because she really did put an effort into her profile. And then of course the comment of the day, where I will explain my 10-10 rule, which I've been talking about forever, but I think this is time to do it because this viewer did not really get it at all. So, our top story is about, unfortunately, domestic violence against men, as the Olympian star Sha'Carri Richardson was assaulting her boyfriend in the broad daylight at the airport a while back. And just in case if you haven't seen that footage, I'll show it to you in just a second. But now we got to see the body cam footage from the police officers who arrested her. But just if you don't know what happened, this is the airport footage of her assaulting her boyfriend. Now, she is an Olympian, and so is her boyfriend, by the way. And kudos to him for not really even defending himself, even though it was very much in his rights. But look at this: repeated hitting, more and more and more. And by the way, let's just be honest, nobody even was bothered by this at the airport. Literally nobody. Imagine if the roles were reversed, of course, but we don't really have to. Now, this week, the body cam footage was released, and we know what she said. You want to make some guesses, especially with the Me Too movement saying how we should believe all women, especially when it comes to domestic violence? Well, let's see. Yeah, so this is where she's calling him a coward and talking shit about him. This is her boyfriend that she just assaulted, by the way, right? Let's be very clear on that. And again, as we're watching this footage, just please think about what if the gender roles were reversed. Right. As you can see, just blunt lying. And again, everybody says, well, we need to believe women, right? Every time we do need to believe women. Well, we now know what that footage showed, right? She repeatedly hit him, she repeatedly assaulted him, and she said, I'm going to be honest with you, nothing happened, right? Keep that in mind. But there's another piece of footage as well. Let's take a look at that as well. Again, she doubles down. She said, well, nothing happened. Nothing happened. It just, whatever. So, there are two problems with this, right? The problem number one is, first of all, it's a huge disservice to those women who are actually victims of domestic violence and should be believed. But when women like her actually, lie through their teeth, and in this case, her boyfriend was a victim. But a lot of times what happens is, how many times a woman attacks a man without anybody present in the comfort of their own home. He tries to defend himself. In the process, bruises her or scratches her, whatever. And the police shows up. And guess who they arrest every goddamn time? Let me tell you something about, my experience. In the last 2 years, every single domestic violence victim that I know personally was a man. Let me repeat that. Every single domestic violence victim that I know in my life over the last couple of years was a man. Do you understand what I'm saying? Women wanted to become men with feminism and everything, and they got the jobs and they became the boss chicks and everything, but they also started being extremely, extremely violent. And by the way, just this week, this story broke here where a bunch of teenage girls have planned to murder a teenage boy because they didn't like that he might have been cheating on one of them, and they didn't like how he was in the relationship. You want to bet that by the way, they were all arrested because somebody overheard them planning to kill them and turn them in. And since they not that smart yet, they all got busted and arrested, but they were just going to knife him in the bathroom. And this is the new generation of teenage girls. You want to bet that they were all raised by single mothers, or if they have a father in their households, he is a simp. This is what happens. This is what happens when this generation of women and men is being raised by single mothers and simp fathers. The next segment I'm going to do has everything to do with that as well. Now, this is what's happening. The women are getting more and more and more violent, but unfortunately, it's kind of becoming the norm, because as you can see in the body cam footage, no one's really batting an eye on that. Well, whatever, no big deal, just an assault. But this is assault against a man, so it's not a big deal, right? Now, she also issued an apology, and I'm gonna play a little bit of that for you. And let's take a look. If this modern woman is taking responsibilities and genuinely feels horrible about what happened, or yeah, I don't need to play that. Oh, hold a second. I'm gonna replay it to you, because I forgot to actually share the tab for you. Okay, let me play it again.
Putting myself in a compromised situation, but somebody that I have a deep care and appreciation for as well, is something that holding myself accountable.
Along with the recorded apology to her fans and family, she posted this statement apologizing to her boyfriend for.
So yeah, as you can see with a smirk there on her face, I'm gonna bet on the fact that didn't really mean it. Just did it because obviously probably some endorsements are gonna go away or whatever. I mean, with a smirk on her face, and this goes to show again that women do not like taking responsibilities for their actions, especially when it comes to relationships with men, and just generally speaking in life, because our societies, right, the Western societies, have set it up where women just don't need to be responsible for anything in their lives. I guarantee you that this not only going to happen more, but this already happens behind closed doors. And not only more and more men are becoming victims, and a lot of them don't report this, as I already mentioned in the last week's story when we talked about the UK police department that was basically targeting specifically men. You can watch that story in my library. But this is already happening, and a lot of times when police show up, especially in America, the victim goes to actual prison or jail, and going to continue happening. I also noticed that some of the media coverage, they have actually did not play every single piece that I played for you, where she was essentially lying. They don't want to portray a woman as somebody who is lying through her teeth and doing disservices, like I said, to other women, because the mainstream media is not going to hold modern women responsible either. So this is unfortunately the top story today. All right, now let's move on to the next one, a little bit more of a fun story here. Let me set it up for you guys. We're gonna do this, and then we are going to do this. I want to make sure I did not forget to share. All right, and here we go. All right, in the leftovers of the week story, let's meet this woman in her 30s with tattoos, overweight, oh, and by the way, a single mother who realized that no high value man really wants her, probably will never want her again, but she figured out how to cope with her loneliness, not by adopting cats and dogs, but by adopting something completely different. So let's listen to this. This is fascinating.
How I'm 33 and I'm dating a 25-year-old. And the amount of women in my comments that are saying, I'm 34, I'm dating a 26-year-old, blah, 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 blah. So many people are dating younger now, and I'm really
Yeah. This has been happening. I've been seeing more and more of that. Women who are in their 30s and 40s who realize that, well, if we're single mothers, if
why
we're
that
modern women
is.
who nobody really wants anymore, what are we gonna do? Yes, a lot of them post, regretting what they've done in their 20s, regretting tattoos and many other things. But some of them are getting very creative. So, by the way, this is fascinating. And don't forget that when men like me go to Southeast Asia, or don't, because I've dated women in their 20s when I was in my 40s in America. All of a sudden, we are, abusers, right? But when the roles are reversed, and I think that's the kind of the theme here of this live stream, nobody cares.
Like, did our generation of men just get completely screwed up? Like, are we on the first round of divorces where everyone is just so damaged that
Now, it's funny how she will gaslight my generation of men who actually say, no, we don't want a single mother who's overweight with tattoos and an attitude and many other things. Like, no, we don't. The reason we don't want that is because we're not screwed up. But you know which generation is screwed up? We'll find out in just a second. You want to take a guess?
that they can't give you what you need? I know that I've been dating guys my age or older than me always. And I was finding that dating them, they never wanted to commit. They were the players. They were the ones that were going out and had 20,000 girlfriends. They were the ones that were scared of commitment and didn't want anything serious and just wanted to like have sleepovers and, not take you out on dates. And that's what like my generation plus older than me treated me like.
Right. Well, that's the key word. That's how we treat women like you. There are other women that we treat better. Usually they're younger also. But even if there are some women, because I think she's only 33, if you don't have kids, if you don't have tattoos, if you took care of yourself, you don't have an attitude, we absolutely treat them very, very well. It's just you have become someone that is not worth it. And I think this is always this thing that's missing with these modern women. They don't realize that they want all of this treatment, but they offer nothing in return. So, this is that there's a reason why they call it a dating market, right?
And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I gave up. I gave up dating. I was like, I'm over it. And then this little 25-year-old comes into my life, and I swear to God, turned my life upside down. He is like the complete opposite of any guy I've ever dated. The most caring, the most kind, the most respectful. He's great with my son, literally treats him like his own. If I'm busy working, he'll come home from work and literally just take my son out on a 2-hour bike ride just so that I get a break. He cooks, he cleans, he mows the lawn. I literally, if I ask him to do something, it's not like, oh, maybe tomorrow. No, he just does it. Like,
Yes, that's right. She found essentially what Elon Musk is promising us with his robots, right? They'll cook, they'll clean, they'll walk your dog, they'll take care of your baby, right? Except for she figured out, hey, instead of adopting cats and dogs, I can adopt a 20-something-year-old dude in America because he was also raised most likely by the previous generation of women like me who are single mothers. So he doesn't really know what the self-respect is or boundaries. So he's going to do all of those things and be very, very happy. I think this is genius. I think this is genius. Instead of having all these cats and dogs suffer by being adopted by women like her, she can just use Chad bots. I'm all for this, by the way. Absolutely genius. This is a match made in heaven.
there's no arguing, there's no fighting, it's not like toxic at all.
Again, over almost every woman uses the word toxic when they're talking about men who don't want to tolerate their bullshit, right? The fact she just said she was arguing and all of that stuff, there is no arguing in a real relationship. What a real man is with a traditional woman, there's just no arguing. There's arguing with combative women like her, and that's why there was arguing, and that's why all these men left. And this is no more good men who obviously will be, not only age appropriate, but, income appropriate and so many other things that essentially she would want. That's why they're all walked away and not coming back, right? So she kind of like saying the quiet part out loud, where a lot of them, do lately, I've noticed. But again, I am not at all criticizing this. I think this is great because these losers, this chat, by the way, would you like to meet him? Let's listen for the rest of this. And now, because she posted a video, and you won't believe the type of video not only she posted, but her boyfriend that she's talking about kind of let her without being embarrassed out of his mind. But let's finish this video first. This is, again, I love this.
And I'm not saying that all older guys are like horrible, but just the ones that I dated anyways were absolutely horrible.
Right. And this is another thing. Like, you picked those men, right? And you also picked them by inking yourself up, getting some tattoos. Obviously, being a single mother, I don't know what happened there, but had a child with the wrong man, obviously. So these, another theme that's always going on in my live stream is women not wanting to take responsibilities for their actions or their words and don't even know what it is. She's like, well, I don't know, this man, I know. Well, you picked them, right? You want to take accountability? No? Okay. All right. I get it. All right. Let's continue watching.
Okay. Like, I did not have a good dating history. And I mean, I was always somebody who was like, I'm never going to date younger. They're going to be immature. They're going to have like 20,000 girls on the go. Like, why?
That's probably still happening. You really don't think that your Chad is banging a couple of other girls of his age rather than a single mother that's overweight? But okay, but sure.
Would they ever want to be with me? I'm a mom. Like, they're not going to want that.
They're not going to want that. Nah, but excellent idea here.
Well, I'm telling you, there are some good young fish in the sea. And there are so many, like, for me, my experience has just been so good. And honestly, I swear to God, I'm going to marry that man. Like, things are so good. All I got to say is don't completely write them off, because I almost did, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, but let's meet this Chad bot, because she did post a video of him. Here he is. Look at this. I mean, she literally titled this, I'm a mommy, as he's being her little bitch domesticated robot doing the dishes. Like, what? And he's proud of it, right? Like, he's wearing the mama t-shirt, and this is the new generation of American men. Essentially, simps, beta males that are happy to be used up by women while getting very little in return. But the fact that they can now be adopted instead of poor dogs and cats that have to put up with these ladies, I think it's a win-win for everybody. Okay, let me take a quick comment from the chat before I move on to the next segment. The Rock is back. He says, I just read some interesting statistics from USA. However, male virgins under 30 were 8%, that it rose to 27% in 2018, and then it shot to 50% in 2024. I don't know how true that is, honestly. I mean, like, under 30, I mean, does that include 15-year-olds or 18-year-olds? You know what I mean? So I would like to know what the breakdown is. I do have to say that I've noticed that even with men who are less men in Western countries, they're not going after sex as much. A lot of them's like, that's cool, which is really the number one prime instinct in males of any species. And yet these beta males subspecies that we now have in Western countries, and I see them here in Thailand all the time as well, there's something psychologically and physically wrong with the new generation because of how they were raised, because they're not even going after sex, which is insane, right? But secondly, I don't really believe anybody who says, oh, I cannot get laid, I'm a virgin or whatever, I'm an incel or whatever. Listen, the Tinder and Bumble and really every other Western girl is some sort of a prostitute. There's always an exchange of money for what, and you just have to be extremely dumb not to figure that out, right? They're now undercover as sugar babies. Okay, we'll get a sugar baby, dude. Like, some of them are not that expensive. You know what I mean? So why men are complaining that I'm an incel, I can get laid? I don't understand. You're just too fucking stupid then, right? But I also have a feeling that a lot of these men are just not that interested because of how they were raised. Um, that 8% was from 2008, by the way. Yeah, I was wondering, but still, it coincides with iPhone inventions. Source: General Social Survey from Washington Post. Like, listen, when an iPhone was invented and the dating services started to get really popular, the dating apps and, well, at that time, dating websites were a good thing. Okay, they were good things. So I met two of my, if not all three of my amazing relationships on dating services, because at that time they were that. Everybody who showed up there were genuinely, or majority of people were genuinely interested in dating, and specifically women. Now when women get on these dating apps, they're not really interested in dating. So that became a problem, and then Instagram and so forth. So the invention of an iPhone, it took a while, until, until about 5 or 6 years ago, when things, especially after COVID, I mean, COVID triggered almost everything shitty in the world that we see right now, right? From bad customer service to people ghosting each other and all that stuff. So, listen, there is no denying that dating apps and Instagram have caught up, and feminism, of course, has caught up with the shitty dating culture that we have right now, that produces this. Though this is not the worst. Like, I feel like the two shitty parts of the dating pool kind of found each other, and kept are going to keep themselves busy and away from everybody else. So to me, that's a win for everybody. But it is what it is. Okay, let me move on to the next segment, and this is my favorite. Let's see. Okay, the dating profile of the week has quite a lot to go over, but the red flags are not that hard to find. Now, as you can see, she is a bit overweight, though in America it's considered to be, I guess, normal. What did she put for her? Okay, curvy. All right, fine, I'll buy that. Here in Thailand, this is called a beast. Just so you guys know. All right. Of course, not just multiple tattoos, but sleeve tattoos. We already, like, anybody who sees, any good man who sees tattoos on women should swipe left. But this profile is not about the pictures. This profile is actually about the text, what she says, because she gives us a lot of preview of what is in a modern woman's mind. Okay, so we'll move on for that. So she's 33. She is a single mother, right? Another reason to swipe left. Now, generally speaking, if you're on dating apps and you're looking for someone serious, right? Like, if you're also looking to hook up, then single mothers are great, right? Recreational use only, as Myron says. But if you're looking for a serious relationship, obviously having kids is. Now, she also has dogs, and we talked about it yesterday, right? I mean, it's a yellow flag. It's not a red flag, but the fact that she already most likely made a decision for both of you to have a dog, whether or not you're allergic to the dog or a cat, and what kind, like, obviously she wasn't thinking that. But again, there are some exceptions, because this dog could have been from her previous marriage, that they did decide to get the dog, or adopt it out of bad situation, or a relative died. So we want to. Now, she's only looking for a long-term relationship. That's another thing that I think a lot of women don't really understand. I just had a conversation with a girl I matched with yesterday. No man comes in and wants to have a long term relationship with a girl right away. There's also, for us, it all starts with a one night stand. And if you're good, it becomes a friends with benefits. And then we realize there's a person attached to the vagina. And if we like that person, then we're like, you know what? You know what I should do? I might consider a long-term relationship with this girl. That's how men operate. So the fact that the girl says, oh, I want a long-term relationship, I understand that's a goal for probably 95% of women, right? And at least half of the men, right? But play the game here. You know what I mean? You're just probably missing out on a lot of guys. Like, I have always been a long-term relationship kind of guy, but I never went, I remember meeting all of my relationships who lasted for many, many, many years. I never met them in person and say, you know what? I'd love to get married to this girl. No, I was like, oh, I'd like to bang her, right? And then I did. I was like, oh, I'd like to do it again. And I was like, damn, she's also nice, and she's kind, and she's submissive. Wow, maybe I should think. So women don't really understand that, like, oh, I don't want one night stands or friends with benefits. I'm sorry, those are the two natural stages that men go through for you to become their girlfriends. And and then of course women go like, oh, but I find many men who tell me that they want to be in the long-term relationship. Yeah, you met a lot of liars, but that just the road to Rome is always the same. All right, now I gotta tell you, she wrote a lot, and this is why I wanted to actually dedicate a little bit of time to this, because this shows. I would say this could be a good match for almost every modern woman here, especially if they're single mothers, right? So we try to go over this relatively quickly, but there's one big red flag, and I wanted to see if you guys gonna see this for yourselves. Okay, she first of all she says, respectfully, can you all stop being stupid? Not a good way to start, right? This already tells me that she's probably matching with the wrong man, or and now she's blaming them for being stupid. Well, you picked them, right? There's like 5 million men in your area probably in a dating app. You picked the stupid one, right? So it's not no felonies. It also tells me like what kind of men are you matching with? With felonies, like that's a major offense. Not if you want to be president, but generally speaking, it's a major offense. How do you end up with that? um I'm not into that bad boy shit. I have a feeling she is. And this is where we never believe women when they say what they're looking for, because a lot of times they're like, oh, I just want a guy who made me laugh. Oh, really? Let me meet your ex-boyfriend. Oh, he's in jail for domestic violence against you. Oh, yeah. Wow. That's funny. Right? I mean, so never listen to that. All right. Let me start off by saying I'm a handful, but I know it just takes me the right person to allow me to be calm. Yes, most modern women are handful, and this is why they're undateable. But to admit it and think that somehow this is a good thing, and that this is the reason why you're picking stupid men, because only a stupid man would look at this and say, oh yeah, I want that. I want a handful. I want a lot of trouble in my relationships. Yeah. Okay. Now she goes on, and this is the biggest red flag in the entire field of red flags of this profile. I'm a handful because I know what I want and I won't settle, and I know what I have to offer. Now, again, she's admitting she's a handful, which again, only stupid men would be attracted to or even go for, even though, and that's why in the beginning she says, well, can you all stop being stupid, right? Well, only stupid men would swipe a profile of a girl who says, I need to be handled. But here she says, well, I know what I want and I'm not going to settle for less. You're a single, overweight mother with a bunch of tattoos in your 30s, right? Well, who gives a shit what you want? You're not going to get it. And if you're not going to settle for less, well, I hope you adopt more dogs and cats. Though, as we found out in the previous segment, there is a cure for that too. Have you ever tried a 22-year-old? Oh, they are excellent at washing dishes and looking after your baby. That's free babysitting. And then she says, I know what I have to offer. And I shit you not, as long as this profile is one of the longest I've seen, she mentions nothing about what she has to offer. And I got to tell you, we know the answer, what these modern women, single moms with tattoos have to offer. Nothing besides that one thing that everybody can buy nowadays, right? And this is why you got to avoid women who have nothing to offer, but a lot of demands, right? This is essentially what it comes down to. Now, she said, but I know that it's being this way and being able to settle that within me will come with a lot of perks. Again, what are they? Not going to go into details about this. Well, what I think you misunderstood about my self-summary section purpose here. That's exactly where that goes. Because again, I believe you're full of shit. And I'd like to hear what you at least made up. But you didn't bother with that. She said, but if you're willing to experience what I have to offer, you'll see what I'm talking about. No, thank you. This is yeah. Now she says, let's dive in. I have 2 kids. I'm sorry. She has 2 kids. If that's an issue, don't match with me. Again, nobody. Now, the only men who should match with single mothers are single fathers who have at least 50% custody of their children. Otherwise, it is hell, right? With kids, oh, here's another perk. With kids comes a mom bod, but I'm working on it. Oh, great. So you're out of shape and you haven't gotten back into shape. Great to hear. Because beauty is not really that relevant, right? I am a very fair-headed person. Loyalty, trust, honesty, and communication are very important to me. I'm quirky and spontaneous. I'm always down for a trip or getaway, as long as you pay for it, right? But could also be a homebody. My love, okay, this is another thing that just kills me. Do you know, guys, what love languages are? There are 5, right? And I think it's actually a pretty good invention because love is such a bullshit concept, right? Because everybody has their own sort of vision of what love is. So when one person says, I love you to another person, that other person has no fucking idea what that means because they have their own understanding of what that is, right? I mean, I remember when I just got to America and I didn't really speak much English. So I was watching the show Cops, right? They essentially the original reality TV show. And these cops would show up to this guy's house and he beat up his wife. She's like got a black eye or whatever, and police go chase him. They bring him back, and this is before the charges were automatic. They would have to have the girl to press charges, and they will come back, and she's all crying, and they're like, "Ma'am, would you like to press charges against your boyfriend who beat the fuck out of you?" And she'll be like, "No," and they're like, "No." First of all, what the fuck are we doing here? But secondly, why not? And she'll be like, because I love him, right? And at that moment, I always understood she's not lying. She genuinely loves him, and just the way she loves a man is very different. And then they'll call to him, and they're like, "Why the fuck did you beat out of your girlfriend?" And you're like, "Well, because I love her," right? They love in a very different way, and that's how every person is. So they've created this love languages. So there's like kind of 5 categories of how each person likes to receive love, right? For example, obviously, as an alpha male who dates submissive and traditional women, my love language is acts of service, right? That's pretty much 100% of us. Uh, but you only get to pick one, and usually these women, because again they like to receive a lot of shit and never give. She says my love languages are. That is incorrect already. Quality time and affection, right? No, you only get to pick one. As a matter of fact, you misunderstanding what this whole concept of love languages. There's only 5, so don't get to pick 40% of them. It's almost half, right? But yet, this is how these women are conditioned to think, right? Like, let me grab as much shit as I can. So whenever a girl tells me, like, because I do ask that question, it's actually it's a good question to ask if you're considering a serious relationship with a girl, right? So when the girl gives me more than one love languages, I'm like, bullshit. Pick one. You only get one. All right. She says, I'm a big advocate of if you wanted to, you would. That's another gaslighting bullshit, right? If you wanted to buy me a Louis Vuitton purse, you would. If you wanted to help me with my money for my kids from another man, you would, right? This is exactly how women gaslight men, and unfortunately, a lot of American men go for that. No matter how busy somebody is, I feel they could always make time for things that matter to them. I think she needs to rephrase it a little bit. No matter how busy somebody is, I feel they could always make time for the things that matter to me, right? That's what she meant. Let's be honest about it. I have a weird sense of humor. Okay, none of us are with women for their jokes. So if you can't handle being made fun of, swipe left. Now that's different than having a sense of humor. So your sense of humor is to insult your men, right? Some women assault them and some insult them, sometimes both. But this is, you fucking never make fun of your man ever. That is not a quality that a woman should have, right? It's just no. Like, I can't imagine here in Thailand a girl that I'm dating or seeing would make fun of me. And by the way, American women do it all the time in front of their friends and family. There was a story that I think I'm going to cover later this week, where a guy and a girl went on a trip to meet her parents, and they went to the beach, and she played a prank on him where I think she gave him like dissolvable underwear. So he went to the water and became naked. And which, by the way, let's be very honest, that's a sexual assault, when you take someone's clothes off against their will in front of strangers, that's a sexual assault, right? So she just thought it would be funny to have him parade around naked in front of her friends and family, right? So no, if a girl ever makes fun of you, you're done. That is a horrible quality in a woman. Um, I'm quiet. I doubt you're quiet. And to myself at first, but I'm oh yeah, okay, at first. But I'm open once I get comfortable. Doesn't everybody know? No, you should meet some Thai women. I'm pretty independent. Okay, so that's another keyword that you always run from. Independent. Now, I will give her a benefit of the doubt here. Uh, um, I think she means emotionally here, right? I don't mind not talking every day, which, by the way, I expect a good morning and good night from a girl and I'm dating every time. I'm in a casual relationships with, a few women here in Thailand, and every single one of them says good morning and good night to me. Not much in between, which is fine. Some more, some less, but yeah, when a girl doesn't want to talk to you on a daily basis, that's not for me. I feel everyone should have their own time to themselves every now and then. Well, that's true, but not talking to a guy you're dating for a few days, that's different. I am non-judgmental, and I expect my partner to be non-judgmental as well. Yeah, this is essentially saying, don't judge me. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be held responsible for my actions and words. Accept me as I am, and I want to hear you essentially calling me out on any of my bullshit. That's what it means, right? By the way, every time I highlight here, it's a red flag. Have you noticed that? Like, that's why I said this profile is just a field of red flags. If you're not okay with something, speak up. What kind of men are you dating if you have to tell them speak up like that they're kids? I'd rather you tell me now than we find out later or down the line. Okay, well, that's actually true. I'm very understanding, so I expect people to be able to be open with me and communicate no matter how hard the topic may be. All right, I'll take that. I recently realized that understanding people and their way of thinking is important to me. Wow, fuck, that should have been from day one when you turn an adult. Okay, better late than never, I guess. I like to ask questions, and sometimes bother me because I understand everyone thinks differently. All right. Something someone may have said or done may come off a certain way to me, but I like clarity before I react. Something tells me that's not true. I'm learning what I do and do not want in partner, and so far I know what I do not want. Yeah, so that's a little too late, right? You are fucking what again? 33, and you're only now learning what you want to. You already picked a partner to have 2 kids with, and I hope that they're from the same daddy. But knowing these women, it could be different. Just met a girl the other day here in Thailand, black girl, 2 kids from 2 different daddies, and I think she's like not even 40 yet. Unbelievable. So, and a lot of times these women are saying, well, I know what I don't want. I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. And that actually creates, that's part of the problem why dating modern women is impossible, because they don't know what they want. And I don't blame them. They're raised by single mothers and simp fathers, so they don't know what a good man is, and what they thought they wanted backfired on them one way or another, right? Maybe dating men with felonies like this lady did, apparently. So yes, but they figure out very quickly what they don't want, which is, any man who has some respect for themselves, who who wants to point out that her behavior is inappropriate sometimes, right? Like she wants none of that stuff. She was very clear throughout this multi-paragraph profile that she wants no man who would hold her responsible for anything that she does. Lastly, thank God, we're almost there. I really do read profiles, so if you cannot take a few minutes to put effort into something as small as this app, how do you expect you put an effort into me? Now, that's a little bit of a bullshit, because I experience here myself, because when I'm on dating apps, the tables are reversed here. So I get a lot of likes from women. And I noticed that a lot of times when they start talking to me, they're like, oh, so where do you live? Are you visiting here, or you live in Thailand? And I'm like, bitch, my first profile line of my profile says, I live in Bangkok, Thailand permanently. So when the roles are reversed, and women have a lot of profiles to go to through and not always match. They don't read profiles either. Men, I don't read profiles. I swipe right if I see the pictures are appropriate, like the no tattoos, no nose rings, none of that bullshit. And then if the girl matches with me, then I'll invest time in her profile and read. But I would. So yeah, I mean, men are not going to be reading profiles, generally speaking, in America, because out of 200 or 300, you swipe right on the average guy in America, you'll get one match. They'll probably ghost you anyway. So why waste your time? So that I kind of totally understand why men don't invest their time. All right, another comment from The Rock. Girls being chads leave them for a better girl, and then girls start to wonder where all the good men are. Yeah, no, that's kind of the formula nowadays. And the the chads have even changed, right? In the first segment, as you can see, that dude is a total chad, right? But like a bitch, he is washing her dishes, cleaning up her house, babysitting her kid from another dude, washing her car, doing the laundry like a little bitch, right? So chads used to actually be manly, right? But now even chads in America and Europe are pussies. And this is why I thought that the previous segment about that girl who figured out, like, hey, I can do this, right? I mean, essentially, women like me raised as little pathetic losers. So let's get the benefits from it. So like I said, I thought that was right on the money. All right, let's move on to the next segment. So I got to change a little bit of formatting here. Boom. Okay. All right. Let's get to the comment of the day, and this is where I'm going to explain what I now call is 10-10 rule. And this viewer obviously did not understand, so let's read the comment first. And this is what happens when I'm pretty sure this is a girl, but it could have been just a simp, right? When they watch content like this, they listen a strong men talk, and they just cannot even fucking comprehend with their brains how the real world works, because they've just been stuck in this matrix. I understand why women stuck in the matrix. They've created it, and it's great for them, right? But when men do this is why I try to break them out of it. So that's why this movement is called the red pill movement. All right, I'm gonna call her, right? Because even if it's a man, a pussy. But okay, let me get this straight. You want women to sleep with men within 10 hours of meeting after men invest no more than $40, $10 per date. I suggest if your subscribers want really low investment sex, that they propose and marry quickly and have free sex thereafter. Problem solved. Okay, let's unpack this clusterfuck of a comment. First of all, getting married does not guarantee regular sex. As a matter of fact, it guarantees, one, that you will never have sex with another woman again except for your wife. That will not get prettier every day at all. She will get uglier. The sex will get worse. She will get fatter and lazier. So marriage sex is not for me. I have always been in non-monogamous relationships. I do not buy the concept of monogamy. I think it's awful. Thank God I'm here in Thailand where non-monogamy is actually accepted. I know quite a few, men who have two wives or a wife and a girlfriend or just two girlfriends and stuff like that. The girls that I'm dating all know about each other. I'm not hiding it, and they all accept it. And a lot of times, because I date girls who usually, have a lot of, they have to spend a lot of hours at work, and it works for them, right? The fact that they don't need to worry about me. There are other women who take care of me. It is a thing here. So yeah, so I don't mind, so saying, oh, if you want regular sex, just get married. That's a horrible thing. If you want to get sex, regular sex, come to Thailand or Southeast Asia in general. This is going to be no problem for you. All right, but let's go back. So she said, so you want women to sleep with men within 10 hours of meeting? No, you're too fucking stupid. If this is what you got out of the video that you watched, to which you replied, you're too stupid to watch my videos. Okay, you're just too stupid. Sorry. So let me explain again. We're talking about how long a man should wait until he leaves without sex, right? A lot of guys, and I used to have a 3-date rule, meaning like, listen, you took her out on the first date, usually coffee, shouldn't be anything more than that. And that's where that second 10 comes from, right? Do not spend more than $10 per date. Well, I'll get back to it in a second. Then you took her out probably for dinner and whatever. And then the third date, maybe dinner and ice skating and a movie, something bigger, right? So if after those 3 dates, she still doesn't want to have sex with you, you leave. And I have before, right? So I remember in Houston it happened, and I went out with a girl. I think she was in her 40s. She looked great. She was my hairstylist, right? And normally I wouldn't do it, but she was so beautiful. She was so southern. It was a black girl with a southern accent, very kind and polite. So after a few times, I was like, you know what? If I lose her as a hairstylist, that's fine. But she's great. So I took her out 3 times. You know, took her the third time. I took her to a nice restaurant, and a dessert and all that stuff. Spend money, no problem. And after that, I said, would you like to come to my place? And she's like, oh no, I'm not that kind of a girl. And I'm like, so you're that kind of girl who will let me pay for your dinners and spend at this point, what, $200 on you? But you you want to have sex with me, but you're not going to because of some fucking game you're playing So I said, okay, no problem. But just so you know, we're not going to see each other again. And she's like, okay. I'm like, great. So I left. That's the last time it happened to me where I was like, okay. But then I replaced that rule with something different because, I've had, so I think it's about how many hours of quality time with you should a woman spend until she has sex with you? To me, it was more because some dates are 1 hour long, right? It's unreasonable to expect to have sex on a date after 1 hour. But some dates are like, I've gone to dates that lasted for like 8 hours, right? One of my last long, like 7-year relationships in America was when I met a girl and we spent like all night together. No sex, by the way. But to me, if after 10 hours, which on average equals out to 3 or 4 dates, if after all of that, attention, time, getting to know each other, holding hands, kissing, whatever, after all of that, a woman still goes like, nah, I don't want to have sex with you. She's either playing games, which means she wants to be in charge and she wants to essentially use sex as a tool to get stuff out of you. And that will continue in the future, or she's just not that attracted to you, or she, like, a lot of times, like here in Thailand, a lot of these women just don't like sex that much. They're like, yeah, I'm good. So by the way, that's kind of sort of a dark side of being in a very conservative well, maybe not a conservative but traditional culture is, right? A lot of these women haven't had sex for a long time and they just don't even remember what it is. So you get that also. So my rule is that, listen, if I spend 10 hours with a girl and she doesn't, I'm out, right? Now, the second one is $10 per date. That's in America. It's $3 here in Thailand. But the first date, and we had a video that I went over yesterday in this live stream on Monday, where a girl said, I don't do coffee dates. I need to be taken out for dinner. It's a low effort. It is a low effort in terms of financially, right? You do not want to basically, you want to find out that the girl's going out with you for you, and not for getting a free dinner and free drinks, right? Back in the day, we didn't have to worry about it because, if a girl agreed to a date with you, she wants to get to know you, have a relationship. That was pretty cut and dry. Nowadays, there's a huge number of women who go out with men to be entertained, to get attention, and to get free dinners, expensive drinks, and so forth and so forth. It's a thing. I think the other day, one of my, I think right here in the live chat or maybe in the comment section, I saw a guy saying, yeah, I went out on a date with a girl and she just flat out admitted that she just wanted the free dinner. She's not going to see me again. So it is a thing. Even here, I met quite a few guys, those simps who come from America, Australia, Europe, and so forth. And, these Thai women who learned English and therefore learn how to take money away from simps do this all the time with these guys. And they go ahead and do it and spend the money. So yes, the first date should be just buying her a drink, which, by the way, you're still spending your fucking money on a girl, on a stranger, right? And you still have to show up, take your time. That's usually much more valuable than a girl's time. And look decent and entertain her and pick the place and lead the conversation and plan the date. All of that stuff you still have to do, but somehow that's not good enough, right? A lot of women basically saying, well, you need to spend money on me, other than that I'm not showing up. Normally I call it a prostitute, but I digress. So yes, $10 on the first date. Get her a drink, get her a cup of coffee, and that's it. And it should be all about getting to know each other. Take a walk. To me, it's always like coffee. Hey, do you want to take a walk? Right? That's it. That should cover about 3 hours on the first date. Now, I have gone out on dates that went like this, and we had such a great time, and it was dinner time, and I was like, let's just go for dinner right away. Meaning we're kind of entering a second date anyway, so might as well have a second date now. And then I don't mind buying dinner because now it's my decision and not hers, and I want to continue the date. And I also never pick an expensive restaurant for the first date. So by the way, in America, I genuinely loved Chipotle. I don't miss that many things about America, but I do miss Chipotle. So I would tell her, I mean, there was no first date that I've ever had when a girl after a couple of hours did not know how much I loved Chipotle. Chipotle was my shadow girlfriend, So at that time, a lot of times said, there's a Chipotle around the corner, which is pretty much everywhere in America, right? Let's grab Chipotle. So that would be like what, at that time, $8 or $9 a plate. So, and if the girl said, yeah, totally, I love Chipotle, my kind of girl. So that is very important, that yes, you can prolong the date into a second date, and then it's okay to buy dinner as long as it's modest dinner and as long as it's your decision. We're good. So yes, $10 on the first date. Yes, let the girl earn it. And yes, if you spend more than 10 hours, which will include at least one dinner, but most of the time 2 dinners and maybe an activity like a movie, ice skating, bowling, whatever, cut your losses, get the fuck out. It's just, So hopefully this person is watching, and now I mansplained what I really meant. And I call it my 10-10 rule, and I'm very proud of it. I'm going to copyright it. All right. One last comment before I go. The Rock says, why you consider yourself red-pilled and not, for example, black-pilled? I started dating black women 15, 16 years ago, actually. And, as you guys know, if you watched my channel for a while now, I just went to Africa. I went to Kenya. And yes, I wanted to see the wildlife. And my God, I did. I unbelievable experiences in Africa, including walking through a African safari forest and bumping into a beautiful giraffe and just hanging out with the giraffe while it's munching on some snacks, and just hanging out with a herd of zebras just in the middle of Africa. Those experiences were great. But I also went there saying, I know it's an English-speaking country, but it's Africa. It should be pretty conservative, family values, no foreigners almost at all. These women definitely need a provider, but kind of still stay away from gold diggers. But there are no gold diggers there per se, because there's not much gold that most guys have there. There's not that many foreigners. So, I went there to see maybe if I can find one. I cut my trip short after I met all the giraffes and zebras and lions that I wanted. The women quality was one of the worst I've seen, and I've been to 32 countries now. And Egypt was next, by the way, on my trip before I went back to Bangkok. So so and even here, so yesterday I matched with a black girl here as well from Africa, South Africa, which is technically could be considered a Western country, but right away, I only want a relationship. Sex is only when I have feelings and all that bullshit. And I mean, I did tell her, I said, listen, you do understand that, you're a Western girl, a black girl, not thin, which really most people would call her fat here. And you have to compete with Thai, skinny, pretty, submissive Thai women. I said, like, what are you doing? Like all these rules that you have. Oh no, and I said, okay, well, respect. Like she was not nasty to me, so I was very respectful. I said, I got to tell you, like, I don't think you have that many choices, but to be a little bit more flexible, not just with me, but with any guy. Otherwise, I hope the apartment you were in South Africa is still available, because and you see this a lot with these women. They either essentially become, lonely cat ladies here, but most of the time these Western women, even good looking ones, go back to their countries where they have plenty of simps to simp for them, because it ain't happening here in this country. So all right, guys, another live stream is in the books. I love doing these. I do this now noon my time, 10 p.m. California time. But also I break these down into little pieces so you can enjoy them as shorts. You can enjoy them as separate segments. And tomorrow I'll be back with another new segment. I think we are going to have the real man of the week, and I think that's going to be Louis C.K., a clip I wanted to show you guys for a while. Then another profile of the day, and of course another comment of the day. I have no idea what they're going to be. I haven't picked them yet, except for the Louis C.K. Segment. So we will find out tomorrow. So I will see you then. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.